Welcome to Bird Camp Radio, where the coveys rise from the high pines, marsh valleys, sagebrush seas, and the shelf rock ledges. Here at camp, the fire's always glowing, the dogs are never far, and the stories of birds, wild places, and the upland life are just beginning. This is Bird Camp Radio. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Bird Camp Radio podcast. We are excited to be here for our 11th episode of Bird Camp now. And I just want to let you know, we have quite the man coming on today. Actually, our first international guest from Canada, Josh Robinson. Josh sent in a bio earlier to us that we're going to read real quick, and then we'll jump right in. Josh Robinson, breeder, trainer, and devoted student of the versatile hunting dog. Josh's journey with working dogs began as a young man in Ontario, watching Labradors power through waterfowl hunts and falling in love with the connection between handler, dog, and the work itself. That passion eventually pulled him into the world of upland birds, chasing ruffed grouse, woodcock, and anything else that would hold tight for a willing dog. When he moved to Alberta, Josh realized his heart belonged equally to both waterfowl and upland hunting. He needed a dog that could thrive in both worlds. After researching versatile breeds, one stood above the rest, the German Shorthaired Pointer. Their unmatched athleticism, intelligence, and raw drive made the decision easy. In late 2011, Josh brought home his first GSP, adding a second not long after in early 2012. From the very beginning, he dreamed of breeding and shaping a line of truly versatile hunting dogs. Today, with countless hours in the field behind him, he's preparing for his fourth generation of pups in 2026. For Josh, the magic of training comes from witnessing a young dog's lightbulb moment. The instant a playful puppy hits scent, the world shifts and instinct takes over. It's no longer a game, it's a mission. That transition, that awakening, is what fuels him. It has never been about how many birds hit the bag. It's about the dog work, the precision, the partnership, and the unfolding of natural ability that's been deliberately bred and carefully nurtured. Josh's pups are born ready. They're proven through confirmation shows, hours of exposure to varied training scenarios, and real-world field work to ensure they become exactly what he aims for them to be. Josh, thank you for that bio. How are you?
I'm great, man. I've been listening to your podcast and just excited to be on it.
Hey, we're excited to have you on. I had a little bit of time before we started the podcast to talk to Josh. Like you guys know, this is our first international call. He's in Canada, and we're excited to have him on. We were talking about how cold it is there right now. What's the temperature there?
So for you guys in the States, it's -5, which would equate to -20 here.
Whew, man. Yeah, and I thought 40 was cold. That is crazy. So before we really jump into it and get started, as many of you listeners know, we like to play a game with each one of our guests called Rapid Fire Around the Campfire. This game consists of 10 pretty basic and easy questions related to upland game itself. We do have a leaderboard, so it is a timed game, and whoever's the quickest gets onto that leaderboard, and we will release those times at the end of the podcast. So stick with us through each podcast to hear who's leading those leaderboards. So when you're ready, Josh, we are ready to go.
All right, man. Team Canada is ready to go.
Here we go. We like it. Favorite wild bird to chase?
Huns,
Most challenging bird?
sharp-tail,
Favorite dog trait?
pointing,
Best bird for eating? Go-to field snack?
jerky,
Dream hunting destination?
Montana,
Favorite month to hunt?
October.
Game bag or vest?
Got to be a vest.
Solo hunt or with a group?
Solo,
Lead or steel shot?
steel,
There we go. That is all 10 questions, and I think Team Canada came in. We'll we'll release that time after this, but I'm just gonna say that that's a pretty good time right there. He came prepared.
Heck yeah, buddy.
Heck yeah, man. So I just have a quick question for you. So back in your before we completely segue into your bio, which I'm basically gonna do this right now, but you mentioned that you hunt woodcock. So I've never had the opportunity to hunt woodcock. Um, I know here in the western states, maybe we have a few. I really don't know. I know that they do have quite a few in a lot of our southern states. Um, but I've always been fascinated on hunting woodcock. What's that like?
It's it's fast and furious when it happens. Little buggers get up and it's like they hit Mach 10 right off the ground. They're very challenging to hunt or to hit, but to hunt them, they hold for the dog so beautiful. If you're ever looking to train a young dog or one that's kind of iffy on the steady, woodcock's the go-to.
That's the go-to right there. I know I've watched a few videos of guys hunting these birds, and I like they seem difficult, honestly. I mean, they're not very big either, are they?
No, no, and I do more cutting down trees than I do hitting them.
Yeah, that sounds like me with grouse. No, that's
No, but they're a fun bird and they taste great.
no, that's cool. I need to get around to hunting them at some point. I've met a few people that have kind of dabbled in it before, but I've never met anybody who's hunted them thoroughly like that. So that's exciting to hear. Um, Kind of like I said, segueing into this podcast, we like to focus on the guest bio, and everyone, you're in for a real treat with Josh because he has quite the bio, and we're gonna dig right into that with this. So kind of starting off, we just want to start with your origin story here, Josh, and kind of the early sparks of what got you started and what's made you you in the upland industry. So what do you remember most about your early days watching your labs work in Ontario?
Just focus of the dog. I don't know, that's a really difficult one to explain, but when you're a lot of solo hunts, when you're sitting with just you and your dog, and there's communication there, but there's nobody's talking, right? Like the dogs are watching the birds, you're watching the birds, you shoot a bird, the dog goes, comes back, puts it in your hand, goes back to where he's supposed to be, and it's just the magic of that camaraderie.
No, I completely agree. Um, as many listeners know, I had the opportunity to grow up with Labradors, and I absolutely love that breed, and that's what kind of sparked it for me and in my early days as well. Do you have any like specific moments that like where you realize this is what I want to do, this is my passion?
Yeah, that's exactly it. Just sitting out with a dog and spending time out hunting in nature. And like I said, there's nobody talking. You're just sitting there enjoying the whole scenario. And it's like the dog can't get the bird without you, and you can't get the bird without the dog.
Right.
So you got to learn to work together.
And it's all about that relationship and being able to communicate with each other, like you said, without even communicating verbally most of the time. It's a lot of connection that you have there. Um, as you said, you did a lot of waterfowling and you still do, but how did that kind of help you transition to the uplands, going from those marshes to being able to hunt upland game?
We actually stumbled across some roughies on a hunt when I was really young with the dog and dropped a couple of them. And I'm like, oh man, this is way better.
It's like, this is
So
great.
it turned the dog into a flesher, but then I fell in love with pointers.
That's some of my favorite, birds to hunt are those rough grouse. They're quite the experience.
Well, I always tell people that if they can get a pointer to truly hold on a rough grouse, you got yourself quite the dog. Because to drive down the road and people see them on the road and shoot them is one thing, but to get a dog that can actually work them, that's some magic. There's a reason they call him the king of the forest.
Oh, yeah, completely. And so kinda going off of the with the rough grouse and bringing back in those woodcock, um, how did those kinda, like, hunts help, like, influence your, approach to your dog work? Um, how did you have to adapt, and then working with those dogs?
I actually didn't get to hunt woodcock pointer until like, because we don't coast or an eastern seaboard. See, so they're on the eastern seaboard. Holy smoke. Um, but when you're hunting them with a fletcher, it's challenging. Like I said, the dog puts them up. They go to Mach 10 right off the ground, straight off of this year. So it actually became a challenge for that, and
Right.
that's really what lit a fire under me.
No, I bet. So, eventually, you ended up moving to Alberta. So, how did that kinda, like, change up? Did it end up changing up I don't really know Canada very well, I've never visited Canada. Um, did it change up terrain and stuff like that for you at all?
So I live way up north. We're above the 55th parallel, in the boreal forest. But when I first moved here, I became a professional waterfowl guide, and one of my friends wanted to start a pheasant preserve as well. And I said, "Well, if we're going to do that. We're going to need some good pointers," and that's kind of what started me looking at the short hair because they can do both waterfowl and upland very well.
So let's talk a little bit about your German Shorthaired Pointers. I know that something that we'd like to mention is your on-point adventures and kind of get to know a little bit about that and your history, starting that and with your GSPs.
Yeah, so that was quite an interesting thing to start. It was actually I started a dog training class and kind of got everybody in the area with short hairs together and started doing some training for them. And then somebody in the group mentioned, "Why don't we just do a TV show?" I'm like, "Why not? Let's do it." So we started with I think it was 12 or 13 people in the beginning, and it started out. Most of the girls that hung out with us they'd never hunted before, and anybody that had dogs had never hunted with the dogs before. So we basically aired the first 3 years, getting the girls their firearm safety, hunter safety, teaching them how to shoot. We brought in some professional Olympic shooters to coach them. And then on my side, I had a Finnish dog at the time, and we just had a litter of puppies. So we did a lot of work with the Finnish dog, but we also filmed when the puppies were born and the entire process of training them and getting them out in the field for the first time.
Wow, that's amazing to hear. So, what was it like creating a TV show? Like, I mean, I kinda got an idea of what like, the work and effort it takes to put in a podcast. I can't imagine what it would take to create a TV show like that.
Well, like I said, we started with 14 people, and if you wanna sit down with 14 people in the room and ask them their ideas on how stuff should go, you could probably imagine that it was quite a battle most of the time. We started losing people quite rapidly and got into an actually a really dynamic team. I think there's like 6 of us left. But, it's a lot of work. It takes probably 80 hours to edit an episode. Waterfowl hunting and upland hunting is different than big game. You kind of know what's going to happen on a big game hunt. You're going to sit in a stand and wait for something to come by. Where we have to actually do the hunts and hope we get enough footage for an episode. And then we have to watch the footage and build our talk ups on what happened during the hunt and pull the highlights and stuff and build an episode. So it's reverse of what you would do for a big game show. It's labor intensive.
Oh, it really seems like it. I can't even imagine even beginning with that, but that is pretty cool, and you said that ran for 8 years, and now you're kinda restarting that, or
Yeah, we had the misfortune what happens in every breeder's career is dogs get old, and we had a couple years there where we lost 5 dogs in a row.
wow.
So it almost pulled me out of the breeding circle, and we can talk. We'll talk about that later, I'm sure. So I'm down to young dogs now. I have one senior dog, and we're kind of starting the process over again.
It makes it difficult when you lose that many dogs at the same time, that's crazy. Um So yeah, kind of going into that, your thing is definitely on the German Shorthaired Pointer, and we want to focus a lot on your choice of that breed. So we want to take a few minutes and just kind of talk about that. What's gotten you into it? I mean, we kind of already asked a little bit about when you were researching the breeds. Let's go back to when you brought home that first dog in 2011. What were your goals, if you had any, or were you just hoping to learn and just have fun?
Well, actually, it's funny. I had a ton of goals. Now, before I started with upland dogs, um, I was a show handler, a professional canine officer, um, an animal control officer. So I have a ton of experience with dogs. So when I got my first pointer, and anybody listening, I hope can really appreciate this, and this should help them out if they're new into the dog world. I come into it with a big ego, but I had the skill set to back it up. So I trained hard, trained every day, got this dog right where I wanted her, and then started competing with her. But I'm gonna say I burned a lot of bridges and lost a lot of friends with the ego and the chip I had on my shoulder. So I will admit that. But I got her to right where I wanted her. She was a beautiful grouse dog. Loved waterfowling. Um, I don't know. I just like with her, I just fell in love with the breed, and after a few months, I ordered my second one.
And after that, it kind of just became history after then.
Yeah, the problem I had with the dogs, I had my history with dogs is I noticed that the short hairs I purchased were lacking. The one was lacking a little bit of field work, and the other one was lacking a bit of conformation. Conformation is very big with me because form before function on a dog. If they're not built right, they can't work right. So that's what started my breeding program. Is I found a stud for one and a stud for the other, and was hoping to start my own lines out of the two pups that were produced out of that.
I like that. So I just want to go back. So you mentioned a little bit about your job descriptions and your job history. So you've spent a lot of time. How many years have you accumulated of working with dogs as a profession?
Since I was 12.
Oh, wow. And then you were a what were they again? A canine officer and what else?
Yeah, I was a security canine officer. We've had show dogs my entire life. Conformation show dogs. I've been an obedience trainer. I worked with aggressive dogs and also an animal control officer.
Wow. So you've been able to range all sorts of different careers in that way.
Very diverse.
Very diverse. And I mean, I get it. I would go into it with a little bit of confidence and cockiness as well if I had that many years of experience working with and handling dogs and animals in general.
Yeah, and the best thing I learned in that one is don't talk about doing something, just do it, and you'll earn respect a lot faster.
Yeah. So now, I mean, you're heading into your fourth generation here in 2026. Um, what traits have you been able to consistently chase across those generations?
So my one line, my very first line, I shut down the breeding on that line. There was some medical traits that were coming up that I didn't like, mostly cysts that the dogs were developing. Which is it is a trait in the short hairs, but um, I didn't like it, so I shut the line down. On the other side, my first female, she came from field trial lines. I bred her into show lines. We competed very heavily on the show circuit, did very, very well, super well. So I bred a pup from that litter, and I kept that super aggressive um attitude. I don't know if you've been hunting over a dog that's been really aggressive in the field and just on the edge of control.
Mhm.
That's what I was getting there. So I needed a little bit more control in the dogs. So I bred into some European stuff, which almost brought too much control. A little bit of hesitation took some of the confidence out of the lines.
Wow.
So we're looking to add that aggression and that fire back in.
That's fascinating.
So yeah, so like temperament, there's so much when you're breeding dogs. There's like conformation should be number one, and I don't mean conformation shows. I mean a dog that's built properly. To give you an example, one of the test fires I do for my puppies when they hit 8 months old is we run them through what's called Hell Week. So I will run them for 6 days straight, push them for 18 hours a day, and we want to see what they're made of. So I don't care at that point how good the bird work is for my program to be able to keep up to those paces.
Right, you wanna be able to see the trait first and the characteristic of the dog, and then
Yeah,
be able to build off of
exactly.
that.
I want to see. I wa- I still have a bit of an ego and a chip, and I'm not competing against anyone else, but I want to be better than everybody else because I want people to look to me to buy pups. So I have a super aggressive training program.
Right. Got Hell Week, I mean, here in the United States, we got our Marine Corps, and that's what they do. I
Yeah,
like it.
it's I had an opportunity about 20 years ago to work with some of the elite from down there, and that's actually how I developed my dog training program.
Really?
I use a lot of the stuff from them. Yeah.
That's fascinating. That's cool that you've been able to intermingle the 2 and create your own system with your dogs and create that. That is something that you definitely should be confident in. Like you said, you're wanting to sell these dogs. You're wanting to build high quality dogs for what people go out and enjoy to do.
Not everybody's gonna want to hunt 5 days a week and stuff like that. But I want to offer a puppy that when they do go out hunting, they're gonna have a good time.
Right. And you know that you can be confident in that dog and you can go as much as you need.
Yeah, exactly. They most people don't need a dog like that, but it's good to have it in in the bank if you need it.
Yeah, you'd rather have it and not need it and not have it.
That's right.
I've always lived by that. So I'm completely on what you're saying here. So I'm kind of going off of your training and creating that versatile dog. I mean, you've kind of run through your characteristics, the attributes that you're trying to create in these dogs and understand what you're doing over there. One of the things that you mentioned in your bio is you talked about that light bulb moment within the dog. What does that look like to you? And why is that such a powerful moment for a trainer and for the dog?
Well, I'll start with why it's a powerful moment. Especially for me, my life is my dogs. They live in the house. We travel everywhere together. I rarely leave their side. So when you have so much into a breeding program and development of dogs, and you get that one moment, man, that first time that dog puts everything together, like, I'm what, almost 20 years in, I guess. No, 10 years into short hairs, 12, whatever. We're up there anyway. But when you put that much time and dedication into a dog and it just happens right in front of your eyes, it's like that's that's what it's all for. That's what it's about. And I really hope that somebody else is there to witness it with. Now, what's it like when it happens? I think kind of was your first question. I'll give you an example. I was in Minnesota years ago. Um, Actually, we went to Ohio to pick up one of my dogs and we're traveling back through and asked if anybody wanted to go hunting. And a friend of mine said, "Yeah, stop by. We'll go for woodcock." Like, great, I haven't hunted them since I was a kid. Nonetheless, we get out in the field in the morning. He had 5 field trial champion setters. And I had brought this puppy that had been on the show circuit for a year and that I had not done any bird work with. And we put them on the ground and off they went. We got the GPS on them and we're kind of talking and enjoying the day and stuff like that. All of a sudden, my dog's collar goes off, 257 yards, locked up. And then his best setter was backing her. So we kind of had a chuckle about that. But the 3 of us walk in, my wife's on camera, and me and him walk in, and there she is with a woodcock right between her front legs.
Wow.
So from the angle that I come in, I could see the woodcock, I see her, and then I see his setter pointing in the background. They're backing her behind her. And I'm just like, man, see, this is what it's all about. Right there. That moment. That's her first bird.
That is a pretty cool experience. And then having the setter backing her up as well. You don't
It's kind of a joke. I had a puppy that hadn't been on birds yet. He's got a field trial champion backing her, so that was kind of a joke between us. But nonetheless, man, to walk through the woods in Minnesota and come across a picture like that, like I'm sure you've seen a setter flagging and on point, right? That tail up and the hair, like, and then you got a short hair with a bird right between her legs, man. That was just awesome.
Yeah, that it's a picture perfect frame right there. And that makes you proud as a dog owner. I mean, that's what you live for, right? You live for the dogs. You do it for the dogs mostly. I mean, the hunting is fun, but being able to watch the dogs work and do what they love, they have the best job out there.
Yeah, and then they put the bird up and cut down 2 trees.
Where we're at here in Utah, at least for the majority of people that I know, in the upland world here, many people run the German Shorthaired Pointer. It's probably one of the most common, if not the most common, at least the people that I know and what I've seen here. Um, but what would you consider one misconception you see with people or that people have about this breed?
Well, I don't know if it's much of a conception as a prime example of people's opinions.
Mm,
A lot of people, especially online, they get on there. I kind of monitor social media. I don't get on there and talk much anymore about dogs, but the guy will go out and say, "Man, I got the best short hair on the planet." Blah blah blah, and then some field trial guy will come on and say, "Really? How many titles have you won?" Well, kind of. This is old age and wisdom speaking. Guys get into these contests all the time, but it's funny. So that might be his first bird dog. So
right,
that is the best dog he's ever seen in his life. And he goes out hunting, the dog finds birds, he shoots the birds, and the dog brings it back. What more could you want?
right.
Right? So, like in my case, if you drive a stock car on the weekend, every weekend, and you win at that race every weekend, you are the best on that track. How would you do on a NASCAR track? Not very good. So there's different levels of dogs for different people. And the biggest misconception I see in the about the short hairs is everybody thinks they got the best dog, man.
Hmm.
In all actuality, they do for them.
I completely agree with that. Your dog is personally tailored and does exactly what you create it to do.
Know any better,
Right.
right? Like if you shoot a 10-pound over and under your entire life and you love it, but you've never picked up a 5-pound Satori, you don't know that story's out there. You know what I mean?
Right. You get comfortable with what you got, and that's what you love.
Yeah, and that's the cool thing about dogs because I'm going to give you an example. I had a client I trained a dog for, and when I train a dog for a client, it's going to be better than my own because that's my name on that dog. And it turned out that, long story short, it was too much dog for him for what he wanted in his life. So I took the dog back, and me and my wife got discussing it. We're like, we need to find a just a single guide that doesn't have another dog to give this dog to, and it's gonna turn his world upside down. But this dog needs a buddy. He can't be in a pack. He can't be in with other dogs. He needs a one-on-one buddy. Well, one of my waterfowl guides bought him, and man, I get messages at least once a week. You're not going to believe what happened. The clients love this dog. Man, he did a 300-yard retrieve. Like he's had them on sandhill cranes, all species of geese and duck. And he's had them on pheasant. He's had him chucker hunting last week. He's had him on quail. And he's just having the time of his life with them. Right. And that's, as a breeder and a trainer, that's what I want to put out there. I'm not listening to my stories because I live them. I'm listening to guys that I gave a dog to or sold a dog to. And they're just like, they can't believe how awesome this is. This is, welcome. That's what I said to him, man. Welcome to the world.
Right.
and just opened a whole new world for you, man.
See, and that's what's so cool about your situation is that you're able to, like, open this whole new world, like you just said, to some of these people who've never done it before. I mean, you take a lot of pride in that, and that's something to definitely take a lot of pride in, is being able to create a dog that especially for these new people who've never done it, wow, they get these
Yeah, but
impressive dogs.
that was his first chucker hunt, and he texted me, like, halfway through the hunt, he's like, "Man, are you sure this dog hasn't hunted chucker before?"
That's the kinda answer you wanna hear.
Yep. Oh, I love it, man, like, he's just he's in Oregon, and he went with his buddy that has a 5-year-old pointer, and he's like, "Man, this dog's a star, like, he wants him."
I love to hear that and that you take so much pride in that. I mean,
Well, you're introducing someone to the sport properly. You're giving them a dog that is a working dog. Like the dog knows what he needs to do, man. All you got to do is follow him around with a gun. Like you're not. He didn't buy a dog that needed to be trained. Had to send it out for training and then learn how to work with the dog and stuff. He got a dog that was professionally trained and was ready to go to work. And he's just, and that's what I like to hear. Like I said, I get a text from him at least once a week about his crazy adventures or whatever he's into.
that's the core value of what you do is being able to live for those kind of success stories. That's what creates a reputation that you're wanting to have out there, creating dogs that people can have just as much confidence as you have in them.
It creates a community, right? And that's what hunting and bird dogging is all about. Like I took my wife to her first field trial a few years back, and after we sat down with the judges and a few of the competitors around the fire and talked bird hunting. So it didn't matter what happened at that trial during the day. Because at the end of the day, man, we're all about going out and hunting our dogs.
Um, it's funny that you mentioned that because just a few episodes ago, I don't know if you listened to it, but we had a U.S. Marine veteran on, Brett
Yeah.
Moore, yeah, and he kind of mentioned what you're talking about. He's like he's newer into the upland world. I mean, he's got his first bird dog out there that he's hunting behind, and is absolutely loving it. He's absolutely killing it out there. He's been able to find a community over there in Montana that's just absolutely been great to him. I mean, that's what he talks about. He's like, at the end of the day, everybody's there for the dogs. You get along, you have the community because of the dogs, and it builds such a great character within the upland game community because of the dogs. Like, everybody wants the best for each individual's dogs. Well, he mentioned that in that podcast, and I'm like, "You know what? That's completely right. Because everybody that I've hunted with and behind the dogs, it's always about the dogs, and I mean, that's what we live for."
Well, I'll tell you something about Montana. When we went the last time we went to do a NAVDA test in Montana, the biggest memory my wife had was how big the community was down there. There was a young fellow there, it was his first bird dog, had no idea what he was doing. And everybody there offered help, assistance, guidance, just talk to him, made him feel welcome.
That's amazing. See, and that's
So
that's what it's all
Montana's got
about.
a great community.
I mean that's a big reason why I started this podcast is help create the community and be able to give people like you a voice. I mean, you already had it, you're already on a TV show, but it's fun to be able to hear. You're in Canada. We have, I believe, 11 different states of people who are coming onto this podcast, and I've had so much fun being able to talk to guys from different states who are hunting different dogs, different breeds, different birds, different terrain. It's just crazy to see all the different things. But at the end of the day, we build that community and we have people that we can reach out to. People like you who have so many years of experience, people who listen to this podcast can reach out to you. If they have questions, want a dog. I mean, that's what's so amazing about it. And that's why it's so great to have people like you on here who know what they're doing so we can help create that community.
Well, and the other thing is too, is I'm always a student of this game. You're always learning something new.
Right.
And this litter I'm producing this next litter, I actually have iron coming out next year for a hunt.
Do you?
He's still trialing. Oh, I don't know. I'm gonna say I don't want to age him, but 25 years at least. He's been there and done that. And the first thing I said to him, I said, "You know what?" I said, "I want you to come out and I want you to hunt over the mom and the pup that's getting produced out of this litter. And I want you to experience Alberta." So I said, "All you got to do is get here. We'll look after the rest." I'm going to spend a week with a gentleman and his daughter, and I'm going to suck up as much knowledge as I can out of them.
Right, you're always learning.
It's more selfish having them come out here than it is offering a good time hunting over good dogs. I want to soak up as much information as I can out of these guys.
And that's what makes it so much fun is being able to learn from other people like that and then fine tune what you've already got.
Oh, definitely. Like I said, if you think you know everything, you're in the wrong business.
So, as soon as you got it figured out is the time that you don't have it figured out.
Oh, it'll bite you.
So we talked about your core values, and at the heart of all this, the breeding, the training, and all the hours in the field, you hold a pretty unique value system around what truly matters about upland game hunting and the bird dogs that you train. Um, how do you keep yourself so focused with that process when it comes to the dog work, then rather than worrying about just the outcome?
Consistency.
Love it.
It's one day at a time, man. Like so, part of my training program actually recycles itself. So, like, I have to do both waterfowl and upland training with these dogs. And once I get done a cycle where I figure the dog thinks it knows everything and it's getting a little cocky, we go back to basics. And that's what keeps me focused because teaching a dog to sit and stay is about as basic as it comes and it drives me nuts. But it also teaches me patience, consistency, right? If you can be consistent, I don't know. I don't know how to explain that one, but consistency always wins. If you're doing approximately the same thing, every dog varies differently. But if you're doing the same thing all the time and you're getting good results, why change it? You have a basic program and you just stick to it, but you have to be consistent. You can't change it up or I talked to one of my clients and he reads books and he goes to YouTube and he does this and he does that, and he does this, and his dogs are always a mess. And I was like, man, you bought a dog from me. I already know how to train them. I've been doing it. I breed them. I know how to work the dogs. So you got to slow down. Like force fetch program. I'm going to run this one by you. I did it on the last podcast I did about 15 years ago.
Okay.
If I told you I could force fetch a puppy at 8 weeks old, would you believe me?
Speaking to you today, yes, I think I would.
I'm going to tell you how I do it.
Okay.
I'm going to ask you a question first. You've been around young dogs, right?
Yes.
What happens when you throw something to a puppy? I'm talking a real young dog that's like sucking up information. If you throw something, they generally
He's going.
pick it up,
Yeah, he's going for it.
right? So he's gonna pick it up. Now he's gonna come back to you. Do you think he wants to give that to you?
No, he wants to keep it.
Right. Because he wants to show you what he got. He's proud of what he got. And that's where the human intervenes and breaks the force fetch. You take
Okay.
that from the puppy. So you take that same 5-week-old puppy and you throw a ball and he goes and gets it. He's all excited and he runs back to you. And now you have a hot dog in your hand.
Hmm.
He can drop the ball and take the hot dog, right?
Right.
So now if you happen the next time you do that, you happen to have your hand under the ball when he comes in and give him the hot dog and he drops it in your hand.
No. There you go.
And then, a few days later, you have the word hand. Now, has he known anything different than to give you that ball?
No.
So why would you do anything different?
Huh. I've never thought of it that way.
So it's always humans that mess up dogs. You got to work on the natural ability of the dog
Right.
and understand what they're doing.
I completely agree with that. I mean, I feel like it goes for a lot of things. We've done it with our dogs, and I mean, we uh we do horses as well. And the biggest weakness in that animal is the biggest weakness in yourself a lot of the time. And usually, what you create the good is the good in you and the bad is the bad from you as well. I mean, they're just a spitting image and a reflection of what you create. And I mean, that kind of goes off of that consistency that you were talking about is, I mean, they reflect that off of what you are teaching them.
If you ever break the trust in a horse, do you ever get it back?
It's very hard. Not at all, really.
So why would people assume that's different than dogs?
Exactly. It's the same in I feel like it's in every animal. I mean, as soon as you lose that respect, it, it's always hard to regain respect.
And that's where the patience comes in.
I like that. I like that. That's good advice coming from a person who's had many years of experience,
You know, if you're getting frustrated working with something with a dog, walk away.
right?
Walk away. Do something that the dog you know can do. Like you're trying to teach a backing drill and they keep busting around the dog and trying to point. Okay, man, you're getting angry.
Mhm.
That ain't gonna help.
Right.
Energy runs down the leash. Make them do a sit, give them a treat, walk away for 10 minutes. Don't break that trust of the dog by getting angry.
So I
Some
mean,
dogs have a 5 minute attention span, some have a 20-minute attention span. Which best that?
yeah, I feel like you've already kind of answered it, but we always like to ask the question, what kind of advice would you give to a new upland game hunter? And I mean, on the dog side, you have that, but is there anything else that any advice that you would give somebody new to this all the way around?
Absolutely. Figure out what your goals are in the upland world, what you want to do. Find somebody that does the same thing. Because it's a lot easier to learn from someone when you both have the same interests. And there's lots of us out there.
There is one text away, one Facebook group chat, and I mean, you'll have tons of people on there. I mean,
That hunt I did in Minnesota, man, we were leaving Ohio. I went on Facebook. This is my route. Anybody want to hunt? 5 minutes later, man. Bam. Yeah, I'll have a horse trailer warmed up for you guys when you get it.
wow, that's what's so cool about it.
There's lots of people out there.
There is. Like you said, find somebody that you can feel comfortable hunting with. I mean, you make friends and then you start expanding from there, meet new people. What I've learned in this life is the more connections you have, the more successful you can be. And you can't have too many friends in my
Name another group of people, right? Like I said, I'm from Alberta. I ended up hunting with a guy in Minnesota.
Right.
I have a guy on the East Coast that I'm bringing a dog to who's coming out to Alberta to hunt. Like this community is so awesome. If I wanted to go in any state in the US right now, I could probably message someone and say, "Hey, I want to come down for a bird hunt," right?
Oh, yeah, easily.
And they'd be all over it. Right. So it's such an awesome community that we have that opportunity where we can travel all over North America and do what each other likes doing. You know what I mean? Like we want to go out and shoot birds. Just get a hold of somebody.
Go do it and reach out to somebody that has a similar interest and make it happen. Go have some fun. Go do what we love to do. So I really like that advice for all those new hunters and hunters who are in their ways and have what they want. It's really good information to have and to remember that we have that kind of community within the upland game industry.
Just don't burn bridges.
Right. Don't burn the bridges. Very good advice there. Um, no, this has been great, man. You've given some great advice, and it's been great being able to get to know you and a little bit of your background and history with these dogs and with upland game hunting. And like I said, having our first international guest on the podcast, making history here. That's awesome. But I want to ask one last question. It's one of the last questions I always ask is, do you have anything coming up in this season that you're looking forward to?
Just the puppies, man. I get to start that process all over again.
Love it. So 2026 generation coming up. That is pretty exciting.
Yeah, that's we only breed our females once. So I don't produce dogs to sell. I produce dogs to keep my lines going, and everybody else gets the benefit off that that ends up with a puppy. So I'm super jacked. Elena's been she's the mom of the litter. I mean, I had her on her second hell week actually. And watch her work like she single-handedly worked a covey of hunts. And I just watched her walk them right into a corner, and I didn't say anything. I stood back. So to seeing what this next breeding is going to come out and what these puppies are going to produce, man, I'm just jacked for it. It's like everything I've ever dreamed of in my program coming together.
Right. Just making your dreams come true. So where can people find you? You've given a lot of good advice. If people want to reach out to you for advice, if they want to reach out to you to buy puppies, where can they find you at?
Basically, the only thing I have up and running right now, like I said, I shut everything down, was the On Point Adventures page on Facebook.
Okay.
My personal page.
Perfect. And we can find you at Joshua Robinson, right?
Yep.
Okay. And just on Facebook, or do you have any other social media?
I don't right now. I kind of been on the down low.
That's good. So if anybody has any questions for Joshua when it comes to his breeding program, reach out to him. And we just appreciate your time, Joshua. Thanks for coming on to the podcast, man. It's honestly been great.
Oh, I just love what you're doing, man. Like this is the kind of stuff we need in the community, is just getting people's voices out there. Even if you're not a breeder, you don't have a TV show, you're just out there upland hunting.
Right.
You're giving somebody an opportunity to get their voice out there and tell people what they think of the
like we said, we just want to build those connections, build that community, and have guys like you out there helping us along the way and keep everybody intertwined with it. That's what it's all about.
Yeah, you'll have to make a trip out to Alberta sometime.
I would absolutely love to. I would not turn that down. This has been great, man. Thank you once again.
Oh, you're quite welcome, man. I love it. Like I said, I love your podcast.
Thank you. Thank you again, everyone, for listening to the Bird Camp Radio podcast and our episode 11 with Joshua Robinson. Before you guys go, we need to release his time with the rapid fire around the campfire game. Joshua, your time was 40.19 seconds, which puts you in 4th place now. So that is where he stands in the leaderboard. Once again, everybody, thank you for listening. You can find us on TikTok, Facebook, and Instagram on all of our social media platforms. Follow me at Kellen Golightly on all of those, along with Bird Camp Radio. Don't forget, we also have our Bird Camp Radio store that you can find in all of the bios of our social media platforms. And as well, I also just dropped my first book. I published it and released it this past week. You can find that as well on Amazon in the ebook, paperback, and hardcover books. So you can find it on Amazon. It is called Where the Grouse Once Drummed. Go give it some love and some support, and thank you again. You've been listening to Bird Camp Radio, where the high pines, marsh valleys, sagebrush seas, and shelf rock ledges always call us back. Until next time, keep your dogs close, your shot true, and your campfire stories ready to share. We'll see you back at camp. Don't miss out on the next episode, where we'll host our next guest on the podcast. You don't want to miss this one. Thank you.